Hey everybody, Jeff Underwood, Jerry White. This is the Mayor Joe Taylor Show. What's up, Jerry?
You know, I'm just hanging out with finally the real mayor of Rainbow
Exactly.
City. Came in with Joe Taylor.
That's true.
It's Anita Bedwell. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we're just going to dive into this thing, right? There's
That's
no need for pleasantries
No, we know who
and
we
all
are.
that stuff, right? So everyone knows who y'all are. So I'm just amazed, absolutely amazed that you would be seen in public with Joe Taylor.
You gotta answer the question.
That's a loaded question, isn't it?
Wow.
I had to think twice before sometimes, yeah. I try to stand at the other end of the line on a lot of
It's so
things,
funny.
but-
So let's introduce yourselves for the people who don't, the three people that just moved in who don't know you. Kind of introduce yourself, and you are I heard you were the glue that holds this whole thing together.
Well, I'm just not real sure about that, but
They all said
I
it.
am Anita Bedwell, and I grew up here in Rainbow City. I have this has been my fourth term on the council, one that I have enjoyed very much. I enjoyed the other ones as well, but I've learned an awful lot on each term that I have spent here in the city. I'm a lifelong resident of Rainbow City, and it is just really my heart and my soul. So I really feel as if that it is not something that that is a chore for me or a job for me. It is just such a pleasure to improve Rainbow City and to try to make it a place that, as we discussed last night at our council meeting, a place that we can provide a positive atmosphere for our children, a good education, and something for them to look forward to staying here with instead of moving off. So,
I think you've done a pretty good job of that. Randy Weiss says she is the glue, the tape, the staple that holds everything. She's a true lady.
It's really true. I think if you go back to the time when we were running, the last term, and we had some council members that weren't running again. Anita was the person that carried over from that council, and I said it all along, even during the campaign. We need somebody that survives, that makes it to the next council, that
Makes sense.
that knows what the light switch will do when you flip it, and that was Anita Bedwell, and I've said it all along. She sits on my left, but she's my right hand, and it's just been because she carried the history of Rainbow City. Her father was the first. Was the first fire chief in Rainbow City, and brought our fire department to where it's a full-time fire department. And that's hard to do. I don't think people realize just how hard it is to convert to a 24-hour continuous operation in fire protection, because it's so costly. I even mentioned this week on a Facebook post that I was answering to Rick Hill, who was really kind of bragging on our council and our feelings and our direction when it comes to first response. You just can't know the growth of this city, and it all hinges on Anita's family, her dad and her mom, that would literally allow her dad to go out there and spend days and days and days to and hours to make this city better, and she came right along in the same fashion, and I appreciate what she does for me. She does keep me straight, and I think if you look at our unified front in our council meeting, you would think that all we do is just sit up there and say yes to each other, but that's not the truth. We bat that ball in work session and in just conversations, to make sure that we're doing the right thing every time, and I think she would agree with that.
I would, and really one of the things that's so special, I think, about our council is that, and it has been in the past, not to reminisce so much, but it's wonderful to have a diverse group.
Right.
Sure.
And everybody has their specialty, and the mayor can stand in the corner and talk in a round room and talk to the corner. So he has that gift
fair.
to
It's
be
fair.
able to communicate so well, and his forethought of what's coming and what he would like to see, and then to put it together with each one of us and everybody in their special spot that has a special talent to bring forward. It just makes a good group.
Yeah.
So
What is it like for you as a lifelong Rainbow City resident and now a public servant to look at all the changes from the time you were growing up and to now? How exciting is that to you?
Makes me feel old. No, it's very exciting. Because, like I said, when I was growing up, there was absolutely a minimum of everything here. And everybody's first thought was, when I leave high school, if I go to college, or whether I go into a career, where am I going to move? And what am I going to do?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
And so that's the exciting part for me, that we are beginning a growth pattern that is such a positive thing that will move forward for everybody. And as a lifelong resident, it's just awesome. I just love it.
Now everybody wants to move to Rainbow City.
They
It's
do,
like
yeah.
when I grow up in whatever community, I won't mention one, but I grew up in this community, I'm moving to Rainbow City. They do. They do.
It has become a destination,
Yeah.
and it's one of the things that when we came into office, I changed the logo and the marketing of the city, and the RBC was the same as you would see it on a destination of a airline ticket.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely right.
And that, ATL, RBC, we wanted this to be the destination. And you have to talk to people in that language so that you can actually begin to be fruitful in your work. And I think that's the thing about what we've been able to do together as a council is that we get together and we formulate their ideas, and then I go back and make a product, a work product, and I bring it back and present that to them. And there are times when it has to go back for more. They're not ready yet, or they're not given enough information. And I think if you look at the finances, which was the part that I really worried that they would be worried about, I think I'll flood them with information on finances, and so they're very comfortable with the way the books are.
Sure.
That's good.
Their thing now is, how are we seeing this plug into what I feel like was probably our biggest jumping off point was when we did a comprehensive plan for the city, and putting that together so that they can say, okay, does this fit into our roadmap? And we're finding out that quite honestly, we're doing a lot of good things, and we're doing those things right. And that's because I've got a council that is unified. That doesn't mean that they're all yes votes. It just means they're unified.
Yeah.
They're willing, and they have the freedom to come in and say, I just don't see this yet, or maybe I see more. And that's another thing. I've had council members say, why can't we do more of this? And this is one of them. Just so
Her?
And opinionated.
You?
opinionated.
So let's throw some questions.
Is that what we call it?
It's an early
Easy.
morning show.
Easy. Easy.
Who's your favorite city council person to work with? There can only be one.
There can only be one.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I know this one.
Well,
we
there's
all do.
really not a favorite one because everybody has their own things. But the person, I guess, that's the easiest to harass and the most fun to harass, is Jeff. He's just what's so funny about him is that he's very serious about thinking about things, but then he gets tickled about things, and his entire body shakes when he laughs. And,
So good.
So I just love to spill off little things to him and make him. But
miss that.
it is such a pleasure to work with people who
see that.
want something besides a personal agenda.
Oh, wow. You preaching now, girl.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Get on the box. But
Wow.
I love Rainbow City, and that's why I do this,
see why it's
not
my favorite.
because a personal agenda is it just doesn't have a place in anything that I do or for me. I mean, especially as far as when it relates to our city. We all want more, but we want what's better. And it's nice to be able to have an opinion about things and all of us discuss it and us look across the table and go, or get him and go, you know, but it, and then we will discuss and we'll have our times.
Sure.
But we come together as a group because that is what we want.
That's great.
That's our
Those
ego.
are the real shows we should be doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well,
The
you
work
can,
sessions would be great.
Right.
Anita for Christmas, she got me. I wear things on my face, you know, if things are not going my way.
No.
If I'm not making headway on something, then you'll see it. I mean, and you'll see it big time. And so for Christmas, Anita got me a pair of socks that has several pictures that she's taken during work session of me on the other end of the conference table, totally disgusted. So every
That is
picture on
great.
these
We
socks,
sit like this.
yeah, I'm disgusted.
That is great.
Yeah.
That's the most Jerry White thing I've ever
That's
heard.
awesome.
That is so
Yeah,
good.
that's what I tell people. Y'all-
So
you
she,
just don't
when
know.
you see her phone now,
Oh,
you
yeah,
think
well,
she's taking a
and
picture
I'll
of
look
me?
and give her a look, and she'll take a picture of that look. You know?
Like, don't take a picture of this.
That's so fun.
is great.
Hey, let's back up just a little bit. Let's kind of go over for the ones who didn't watch the session yesterday. Come to the city council meeting. It was another good,
It is.
efficient, great meeting. Can you just hit the highlights for us about
It
what happened
was, you
yesterday?
know, I mean, of course, you know, we just got through having our pancake day and our cleanup day, and what we're finding out is finally we're beginning to educate our people to understand that we have to keep our city clean. That it's a big part of how we stay healthy, how we stay on top of our game and growth, and just it's an economic development tool. Keeping your city clean is the first thing that a city that or that a company that comes in is looking at. The other thing is we sold some property. That property will go to 4 different commercial buildings.
Heck yeah.
Man.
Those buildings, 2 of those buildings have tenants. I think I may have gotten a tenant for the largest building that that development will be.
Interesting.
Hopefully yesterday, and it's just our growth pattern right now is that we knew, and Anita was one of the driving forces behind this, and Mayor Calhoun. The only official thing that Mayor Calhoun and I did together in my transition was that he carried me where he was recruiting a manufacturer. And he let me do most of the talking because he said it's going to be yours if you get it. We didn't land that because we couldn't move fast enough.
Sure.
And it went back to Anita saying, okay, now we've got to get ready. And we've got to begin to get this work done so that we can have our property to the point where it's actually going to create capital for the city. And we went to work. And
My
we
list.
the list. And we don't even get started on the list because the list never goes away. You take one off, she adds 2.
Good.
But what we found out is that our economic driver is our ability to go out and get our own people. You know, there's no doubt that we have an IDA and we have state people that can go out and do it. But our greatest recruiters are myself, the council. We've got a couple of consultants that help us, and it's our people. You know, I've spoke about SMD Metals that's coming, out into our industrial park, and they learned from the copier man. The copier man was talking about his city, and he just couldn't stop talking about how great his city was. And I think that's what you hear out of Anita. She's a cheerleader for this city and always has been. And she'll get emotional about it too. I mean, like it means that much to her because it's everything her family stands for came out of Rainbow City.
Well,
But
and we're back to our development seat. That's really what stirs my pot, and I do try to keep the merit list. Just a small list of things. Hey,
Could
what
be
do you
100
think?
of them.
Yeah,
Not 100 items on that list.
Yeah. No, but what do you think about this? And what do you think about this? But what's great about that list is that my brain can do whatever it wants to, and then I'll just call and I'll say, "What do you think about this? What do you think about this?" And we will begin a group, and the mayor will say, "Hey, let's go ahead and let's push this." And I was thinking about that too. And that's what's really scary is when he says, "I was thinking about that too." Cause
it's amazing that she'll call and say, "Hey, there's this opportunity right here," and I'll say, "Well, are you talking about this?" And I'll call the name of the people that have it, and she'll go, "Yes, that's it."
So, but we are in the process of growing and developing industry, and and moving forward in that. But we as a city, and it's our responsibility, we have to be ready to accept all these things and
That's right.
everything, positive and negatively, that comes with it.
Right.
And so that's where we're trying to make sure that we are in order, from infrastructure to traffic and all the way through that whole program that is so important. It's just fine that you have a multi-million-dollar project that is going to be, but if cars can't get there, or people
Right.
can't get there, or they can't get out, or if it's a crime-related thing or anything. So, we have to, it's our responsibility to make sure that those building blocks are in place
Yep.
to support everything that goes along with it. And
You're not going to win the big opportunity if you're lacking in any of those areas. Which
Sure.
is normally it's safety of the city. It's safety.
Where does Rainbow City rank?
No, that's going to be number one.
Okay, yeah.
yeah, right here, right
If
here.
you want to go to fire, we can talk about being just number one.
I'm in on that. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think that's a part of what we did last night. We actually increased our ranks in both police and fire over the last 3-4 months.
It's awesome.
And doing so, what we're doing, it's just preparation. You have to. We don't want to be called, lacking when it comes to the safety of our city, and that's why, training for our people. That's why equipping them with the absolute best equipment that we possibly can it's an imperative. I mean, we have to do that. And I think you saw some of that last night, and as well as us beginning to upgrade and put together some things that create safety, just in the sense of we put in a burn ordinance last night. Rainbow City hasn't had one. We've really not needed one until just the last few years. We've got a few bad actors. And those bad actors had the ability to be able to say, well, there's nothing says I can't do it. And it's hard to argue that point without taking somebody to court, spending a lot of taxpayer money to prove a point. Now, we've done that, but it's time now. We've put together a rule of law that says if you do this, this is the consequence, the same as you would with children or whatever. And people are not going to like that analogy of us comparing, but I compare myself to a child.
Rightfully so.
And rightfully
The First Lady would as well.
She would.
I mean,
she would
right.
go along with that 100%.
What do you guys think about? I'll pose this to you, Councilwoman Bedwell. When people run for office, right? You see it all the time. I'm going to make this better. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. How important is it? Yes, to be forward thinking, but to be forward thinking on how you can improve city services and things that you already have in place, how to make those better, versus coming in and trying to spend all the taxpayers' money to put all this new stuff in place when we haven't made what we have better. And that's something you guys have done very well. How important is that as a leader in a community?
Well, as we just mentioned, I think that is the success, the end success of your project, or your end game is to make sure that all of your building blocks are in order.
Right.
And I think that is, for me, I mentioned to you too that each person has their own talent that's on the council. And Clark, for instance, was in the police force, and he can, always have some, and Jameson, and everybody has their own their talent. And I enjoy building and that kind of thing. And but one of the things that I think is just so important is that, again, you cannot expect a successful project or a portion of your community or anything else, whether it be from a fast food restaurant all the way down to a community center that is for your senior adults.
Right.
You can't have that, and if your infrastructure and your everything about you won't support that.
Right.
And forward thinking, as far as on a commercial standpoint, and the things that we feel like that we want in our city for our own personal enjoyment, that's great. Again, there's nothing wrong with new restaurants or anything
Sure.
like that, but we've got to be able to support those.
That's right.
And so I think that looking forward, that it is so important. If we can't get water to them, if we can't handle their sewer,
Right.
And so, what are they going to stay open for a week until they run out of water out of their jug, and then they're going to be closed. So that's where I look at the way
I just
that
think
I look at
the
things.
reason I asked that and the follow up to that would be to tell or show the constituents that there's more to it. There's a lot of preparation that goes into this. That they think the average person. We know what you do. We know what you guys do. But the average person they're just sitting there collecting a check and doing this and doing that. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, infrastructure-wise, preparation-wise, recruiting-wise. And that's something that you guys are heavily involved in, that you guys work so well with Mayor Taylor, is bringing new things in. You got a mayor that listens to ideas. That's it's a pretty novel idea, isn't it?
Yeah, and when he listens, and finally gets processed. No, when he listens, and but moves forward, then it's just he's very driven in that respect, and will move and turn over every stone
Yes.
to find a way for us as Rainbow City to have what we need to have that, and we. I'm on the utility board as a liaison to the council, and that has just been a fun thing for me too. I enjoy that. But that board and the manager there, everybody there as a whole, runs a very progressive and a very organized and orderly unit, and. Rainbow City, number one in police, number one in fire, but water quality that people just really don't think about is right there.
Wow.
We have not had any problem with EPA or ADM in any way of meeting all the standards that they require, because we do work so hard, that utility works very hard to make sure that everything is in compliance and stays that way. In 2017, we built the sewer plant that's now in working order over there. And when that plant was built, there was also infrastructure put in place to enlarge that plant. And so basically, we just got to build some above the ground, a lot of money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the forethought was there to go ahead and to move forward, because we had that plan and we could see that it was coming and that there would be a need. But we are so proud of every service that we provide. But there's a lot of stuff, like you said, behind the scenes that people sometimes don't think about.
Yeah.
But we're very proud to provide good water.
I would say that as well. I think you'll hear people say that our water rates are higher, and but our water quality is so high, and I think it. I made the comparison to a case of water. If you use a case of water, per week to drink, just to be truthful, if you're buying some of this generic bottled water that's got a lot of recyclables in it, you're getting PFAS from that. You're not going to get that from your tap in Rainbow City. And the reason being is that we pull our water from an aquifer, down in Oakville. This is well water. You're drinking what your great granddaddy lived to be 98 years old on. And that's what we've done. And that's previous to me, the same as the expandable asset of our water and sewer plant. They built and made sure, even down to having the foundational portions of these things already in place for us to expand our system. How are we going to know that that I would be elected, and that myself and Craig Enzer would put our heads together and say, hey, let's bring that mega site into Rainbow City for services and for water and sewer.
Brilliant.
And now look at what those decisions that were made in 2017 by the council and the mayor of the time, as well as the water utility. How much do they mean now?
That's right.
Because now we're finding out that we're a real player in the overall economy for the state of Alabama and the Southeast.
That's right.
That's just the facts now. And so, paying a little bit for water that I'm not afraid to wash my body with or to drink or to cook with, I'm sorry, I'm going to pay a little bit more. I mean, because I can remember a time when we all drank out of a dipper, that hung on next to our kitchen sink. And now people want to drink everything out of a bottle.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, go buy a dipper. Because in Rainbow City, you can drink out of that faucet.
That's
Well,
good.
you talk about all the
That's good.
time, premium services.
It is.
It's another premium service here in Rainbow City. Who doesn't like premium services?
That's right.
This ain't no middle of the mall city.
Man, this
No,
What you talking about?
We're not doing that. Yeah,
My bad.
but no, you can't help yourself. But I think that's the thing about Anita is that when I came into office, the first meeting that I had with the ALDOT director with Mr. Cooper, I carried Anita along, and we had a very rudimental drawing, just a very basic drawing of the 3-lane highway. And I can remember when we left there, we had a really good meeting, and we felt like another couple of meetings and we would get a yes from the director. And Anita telling me on the trip on the way back, infrastructure, you got to be patient. Because she knew just what she said about me a few minutes ago. I tend to get driven and I get on task and I'm ready to let's go. We got to get this finished, get it fixed, and we're in the final stages right now of that project. 4.5 years
That's
later,
amazing.
That's great.
which the previous administration had begun some work on. So we're looking at 5, 6, 7 years to get that kind of project finished. And so that's why continuity of services, continuity of service by our council members is critical. It's important. You've got to know that the next people, even if we were to have people come new onto the council, you've got to be able to pass the ball to them and them understand
Right.
what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's just awesome, excuse me for interrupting, but it is just awesome to think that a small town in northeast Alabama, Rainbow City, can provide services to a mega site
Yes.
that is so large that right now they don't even have a permanent tenant for it. And so Rainbow City is already lined up, got some pipe in the ground, ready to cross the interstate just about. To carry services over there from my little town in Rainbow City.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
when you really think about that, that is that's just.
You see what she did there with the pipe in the ground thing?
There with
Yeah,
my
yeah.
flag on a,
She's all about the
Yeah.
pipe in the ground.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
tell
what
her.
I
She's all.
And
That's
I think
awesome.
that's the other thing about what Anita's saying is that when that idea came up and it got floated and we began to look at the needs as far as water and sewer and our utility, saying to a group of people that we're going to put city money into a system that could potentially not pay off for the next 10 years, but
Yeah.
it will pay off. That's a hard sell.
Yeah.
And so you've got to have somebody that has an understanding of infrastructure, and that's what Anita has done her whole life. Is that she's installed infrastructure. She knows what they're supposed to look like, what they cost, and just me being able to pick up the phone and say, Anita, if we run 1,000 feet of 8-inch water line, what's that going to cost us? And her being able to give me a number without calling me back.
Yeah.
She can do that, out of her hip pocket, and
It's almost like you with a budget.
So valuable.
Facts.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and understanding the budget, and understanding how the money flows. All of those things are so valuable to me. And
it's a group effort.
it really
Bottom
is.
line.
It's a good group.
A team.
It is.
It's a good
It is a team effort.
Yeah.
And
Even
it sounds
Jameson.
like even Jameson.
Well, and
Seems
I got to
like
say something about that. She
Please.
told a little story a minute ago when she said her little favorite was Jeff Prince.
Don't hurt his
her
feelings.
Little
He's
favorite
watching.
is Jameson
Jameson
Jenkins, and he
Jenkins.
probably got his feelings hurt on there.
Hey,
Because
Yeah,
Really?
he's been hurt
That's
for
her
about
buddy.
He's been hurt.
He is my buddy.
He's been hurt for about a month. Jameson ain't involved with us in about a month.
Yeah.
He's upset.
Yeah.
Well,
he's
y'all
upset.
shouldn't be so
well,
rude.
he
to him.
had a little.
To be fair, I am never rude to Jameson Jenkins ever.
There it is.
I'm not.
You're not going to do it, are you?
I'm not.
Yeah.
Jameson is awesome.
I'm not giving you guys an opportunity today.
No, we're not going to drag you.
Nope.
into it.
You're not pulling me in y'all's business.
So let's talk a little bit about what's going on here in Rainbow City. Ribbon cutting Kia.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
That is unbelievable.
And despite Jermichael, it's still going to be successful.
Michael's my buddy now. We're not going to do this. But no, we got down there, got a chance to
good
Craig
crowd.
Denny and his family.
Great
Great people. They're coming to be a part of Rainbow City, taking over that dealership. We'll expand that dealership. It'll bring more and more opportunity, not only for our citizens, but for the surrounding area. A car dealership, you were in the business for so long. It's a regional idea, and it's something where we get to bring people in and let them, quite honestly, deposit their money into our account.
Sure.
And that's always a good thing.
Sure.
I talk more about the money side than our idea approval council. But it's my job. It's my job to be looking for how's that money going to stack up for us, so that we can turn around and return it back to the people that gave it to us.
And that dealership's in a great location.
Oh my goodness!
Even
It's
better
in-
than they know, probably.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's in a great location.
Yeah.
I think there's no doubt that Mr. Denny, and it'll be his story to tell.
Yeah.
The next big move for them is going to be incredible.
Sure.
For just their business and for Rainbow City.
No doubt. Now, one of my favorite, the community market.
Yes.
What a success that was yesterday. Or was it yesterday?
It was
My
yesterday.
days run
Yesterday,
together, yeah.
And tomorrow.
Heck
And,
yeah.
and that's another thing. It's Andy Hughes. Andy is actually our revenue officer, and he goes out and checks people's licenses and those kind of things. And Andy just came with the idea of, hey, can we put together, a farmers market? And I said,
Yeah.
I'd love to have a farmers market. So Andy does that as an additional duty. I mean, he loves it. He doesn't have the time for it, but he does it anyway. And what we're finding out is that we've got a growing market. Crops begin to come in the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that we're gonna have a full parking lot on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then once the crops begin to come in, he expands that to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I'm just telling you, I can't thank that guy enough.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he works to see to the success of that community market, and it's just cool to go out there.
And enjoy some Crow coffee as well. It's never
Yes,
bad. It's
yes.
never bad.
We're ready for them to come back as well.
But last year, I stopped in to, I don't know, was dropping something off or whatever, and there was a sign at the lady's office that says, "I walked to the food truck." They're so happy, right? They're so happy.
That's right, and that's the thing is inside our building
That's
we
cool.
support our market.
Sure.
We want that, and I want that community engagement. That
Yes.
was one of the things in becoming the mayor that you have to go out because and immediately everybody's very apprehensive to what you're going to do and what's the thing that he likes or dislikes the most, and I would go into offices and everybody's just busy. And I'd say, "Are y'all like busy like this all the time? Do we need help?" And you finally figure out they're doing busy work, and I had to say to them all personally, straight to their face, if I walk in, if you don't have anything to do, get on Facebook, and wish somebody a happy birthday that lives in the community. Talk about the good things that you can. I don't want them griping and complaining for sure, but at the same time, support your community. Tell us that your kids won their baseball game last night.
Yeah.
We would love to know that. I want that constant engagement from the people that we serve to the people that we're out serving to. And my service is directly to the employees. That's what Anita, they don't get to have that one-to-one connection with the employees because that's not the way the system is drawn out. But I can tell you that when Anita walks into City Hall, from one end of it to the other, they know who she is and what she stands
That's
for.
right.
Sure.
And to me, that's hard to beat because I know I'm not continuously battling with my council, which is what's happening everywhere.
That's
Sure.
right. Yes.
There's so many people that either the mayor wants to be a councilman or the councilman wants to be mayor, and there's that constant rub, and we just don't have that.
I know, and that's why I watch the Terrence.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Me
City
too.
Council show every week.
And I love it.
Yeah, there's
Can't wait to
several
watch a
of
new
them
one.
across the country that
That's good stuff.
they're hard to watch, especially for because for us, we're there and we know that any minute if we become selfish,
Yes.
and our motives become self-serving in our own lives, we can become that.
Sure.
And you know, and
That's
I
right.
can take on Anita Bedwell or Clark Hopper and decide to just be an antagonist for them. And I don't want that, you know, and that's why we settle in an open forum. Every time we settle in our pre-council, in our work sessions, we set the bar for us to be able to be unified. And
Yes.
if, you know, that doesn't mean you don't have to vote for it,
Sure.
but you just have to understand why we're moving forward.
Yeah,
That's right.
I get
And
that.
it works so far.
There's no fist flying in the Rainbow City parking lot, only tomatoes.
Only
Only
tomatoes,
tomatoes.
or you know, or a deer.
Or reindeers.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard it. Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me about Rudolph.
About Rudolph.
Is it under your tire?
Y'all, I want to tell you something. It's hard to be me because there's 5 of them, and you know, and then there's 5 plus the employees, so they find a way to pick on me.
Team unity.
And if I was a crier, I would have cried last night when I pulled back in from having dinner with Rachel, and I walk around my car and there's a grapevine deer. It's a big buck deer laying under my tire, and of course, as soon as I say, "Hey, y'all can't believe about this deer," I start getting pictures back of it from daylight, where they put it under there, and but it's
awesome.
but again, that's the fun portion of being
Yeah.
on the city council and being a part of Rainbow City.
He wouldn't fit in the storage closet.
No, he would not.
Let's
man.
talk seriously about the city council just for a second. Say someone runs and they beat out an incumbent and come in. There's no school, right? I mean, how do you become to know how to do these things, right?
Well,
I will tell you, the first council meeting that I sat in, I nearly give Mayor Calhoun a nervous breakdown because
God, I could.
yeah,
Yes.
because can you imagine? They said there were no instructions, and this is a very simple explanation, but a statement, but nothing was. We were not set down and schooled or
Sure.
anything, and just what you read and what you the first meeting you had to approve the judge and the city attorney and all those things, Well, I had always been told if you didn't understand, just table something. That's better than voting on something that you do not agree with. Well, I didn't understand, so I tabled I said, can we table this? Because I don't understand about the judge and
Sure.
all that stuff. Well, honestly,
You
Mayor
can't.
Calhoun, just bless him.
Come on.
He said, and the judge said, "Do you not like me?" Yes, I like you just fine. I just don't understand.
awesome.
Yeah.
So that was a whole disruptive program that I had created. But to say to you that it does not come with an instruction
Sure.
book, and to know. So, but like a lot of other things that we do in life, you just end up in that. But I do believe that that as you make the decision that you want to run, that you already know my feelings about that as far as what your desires are for your city and the way that it works. And being here for a little while, there's so many things that I feel like that I have collected as far as the knowledge. Not that other people have not done the same thing, but it really takes you your first few years to really understand
Sure.
all the aspects, and then when I get up tomorrow morning, there's going to be something new again.
Sure.
And I think that I remember when I wanted to run for city council, I did not want to run against someone who would think that I thought that they were not doing a good job. That I wanted just to think that this is what my heart and my head and says that I think that I would like to do, or I would like to see, or I'd like to be a part of. And so I have been very blessed to get to be a part of that. And I'm very appreciative of the people of Rainbow City who have supported me in that respect. And I hopefully feel like whether I move forward or I don't. No one knows. But I hope that they feel like the time that they have invested in me has been, I have, looked out for the city and done positive things for the city. Because that's what that was been my goal. So
some people would say that you are the manual. Every person we've had in here that works for Rainbow City, that's a councilman, the mayor, has said, thank the good Lord for Anita Bedwell,
Well, thank
because she has walked us through, every one of them,
That's
without
right.
question. She has walked us through things we didn't know. She has taught us. And that's pretty refreshing, because we go to city halls and to county buildings quite frequently to talk to people. For what reason, I don't know why we do. It's a punishment. I think we have a problem. But you see some walk in. We're back in the area that only the council can go, and we're standing in the hallway. And some will walk in, and they're God's gift to everything, and don't speak to them. And I watch them walk, or he watches them walk by city employees, and it's like, the king's here, the queen's here. Don't speak to them. Not you guys. It's just different.
well, I mean,
we know who gets the work done. And
that's exactly
Right.
right. And it is, I've said before, it's a group effort. And if you're not going to be a part of this
Yeah.
team, this group, and cliche, it's a team effort. It is. And
Right.
be a player. Be that positive player in there if you want to see something move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make that list for the band.
That's right. To be fair, we can't go to some places anymore. So I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
We know we can't come back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that, Anita has always, for the last, I guess, close to 20 years now, been a constant student, at the League of Municipalities.
Sure.
And, and the previous mayor and the mayor previous to him, they were very involved in the League of Municipalities, which was the allowance for us to go and learn the bigger picture. But it still doesn't cure what you need at that grassroots level, which is back in City Hall. How are we going to balance our budget? How are we going to do those things? They teach you ethics and how to carry out your business. They teach you how to abide by the rules and laws that govern council government. But as far as like telling us how to get the streets paved and how to get grants and those things, they can't get all of that done.
Sure.
But I do give them, I give them credit, the league credit, for teaching us the basics. And then it's up to us to go and try to advance our city. And I think that's the one thing that and I've said it a million times. I don't know where we would be. And this is not taking away any of my abilities as a leader. I think I do okay. But I don't know where I would be if we didn't have Anita Bedwell come in and do her part, which is to literally tell me, okay, don't touch that. It'll blow up. And I think that's the part of this that I don't think people understand. It sounds good to have the big red wave or the blue wave or whatever,
Sure.
and just flush them all out. But the truth is that the government doesn't do well when you do that.
Sure.
There has to be the point and the counterpoint, and I can find that on my socks. Where she takes the picture.
You got 'em on
the
today?
point, the counterpoint. I should have worn them.
Dang
We
it.
got to see him next time.
Well, okay, so I ordered them, and I really didn't check the size of his big old.
I mean,
And so they're a little bit small, and
No, they stretch good.
they stretch. Yeah, and then when he stretches them on, his face will look like this.
Even better. Even better. That's a win.
hey, you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, and they came with a coffee cup, and he doesn't drink coffee. But when you put a warm something in there, his face shows
Sure.
up on that coffee cup.
That's the only fault I find in him. I've
It
looked for
is.
years, and I can't find
I
one.
want to like.
Oh, let's talk to Rachel. No, I'm just
I-
kidding.
Oh, we know.
Just kidding.
I can fix you some coffee you drink, Joe. I promise.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, promise.
No question.
That's only on the after
No
hour
question.
show.
We really do have a good time,
Yeah.
and we really do have a list, and I really do have a list.
We've
I
heard about
just-
your list.
Yes.
Ooh,
Before
I'm
today. This
just
is the
telling
first
you.
time the list has
And,
came up.
and God love him, the mayor's not the only one that gets that list. My husband gets one too, and so, but no.
A moment of
but I
silence.
usually, I make a list for myself as well. But I do. It is just so nice to be able to just sit down and talk about things, and as the way that we work, and so sometimes I'll call and he doesn't answer the phone. I'll think, he's afraid I'm adding something to that list.
Well, that is what happens.
Yeah, I know. But,
So she texts first, I'm not adding to the
Oh,
list.
yeah.
Yes,
Call.
right,
That's
right.
exactly
Yeah, that would be a
that's-
good-
That was a good idea.
lead-in.
So, but
So
no,
is one thing on your list is running for re-election? Is that on your list?
yes.
Oh, we can talk about
Great.
it today, right?
Can we talk about
Sure.
that?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. This is your show today.
This is, no.
Yes, it is.
This is Rainbow City show. We're just all apart. But yes, I would love to be able to
Heck
serve
yeah.
again. And, I've really shied away from the statement, or I've really agreed and even shied away from thinking that you would want to be a career politician. And I don't, for some reason, I don't consider myself a politician. And I guess when you hold a political office that you are, but at the same time, it is something that I really enjoy. And that's why that I don't always think of it as a, it's like that.
Well,
But,
and I think that Anita and I have talked about this before. You know when to quit. You know when, okay, I've done my share. I've done enough. And I've said it over and over again. We have a council that has unfinished business. This city has unfinished business, and there is a time when you absolutely have to transition over to something different, and move away from where you've been. I personally don't believe that right now is that time. Now, for whatever that means, and that may not mean anything except maybe the cost of a cup of coffee, but it's true. We have so many things right now that we're doing. I added it up just yesterday. We have over $120 million worth of investment coming into this city.
Wow.
That's in private and public partnership. We're doing things right now that, quite honestly, no city in this region's doing. And then if you add the mega site, and then if you add the transportation, and you add our commercial and research park that we're putting 11 different offerings into there. And those offerings, when I say offering, that's offering jobs. And that is our job at the bottom line.
right.
We always talk about our kids leaving.
Yep.
We talk about our kids coming back home, but they gotta have something to come back to.
That's right.
And that needs to be high paid jobs,
Sure.
high wage jobs, and that's the things that we're chasing now. I think what we have lined up right now, just in the property that we've transferred over to people and sold to people in the last few weeks and months, and the expansion at Choice, that equates to over 400 jobs. Now, if we were to make an announcement and a press release that said that we're putting out 400 jobs that are high wage earning jobs with benefits, the state of Alabama would show up with the governor.
Sure.
But when we go out and do that, and we piece 100 jobs here, and 30 jobs here, and 70 jobs here, and 15 jobs, we're looking for 6 jobs. And those jobs need to be have a sustainability rate for a family.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if we can do that, we can keep our kids.
That's right.
Challenger Center is going to help.
Yes.
How about the new Rainbow City High School?
well, that's something that there's
He's
a lot.
doing this now.
There's a lot of mixed emotions about that.
Yeah.
But if we are going to continue to grow and to provide,
That's
there's that statement again. And a lot of people think that infrastructure is only water or pipe in the ground.
Sure.
But that's another part of
That's
it.
exactly.
And I think that before this administration came in, I wanted a long-term plan so bad, and so the mayor said, "What would you do if you got to choose something?" And I said, and
You
that's
can't
what I
do
want.
that to her.
I want to, and so we have one, and when you look at it and you look at the education prospect, we have what we call, and we're proud of it, an education corridor. We have property there. We are improving roads. We're improving traffic flow already, to get that in there. So as we move and as we put in businesses and we welcome families, we're going to be ready for them.
That's
And I think that's the thing that I was saying a minute ago about having Anita with me throughout this whole process when it comes to infrastructure, and that is looking at what's below the ground and above the ground. It's hard to be able to sit there and think about all of those things. So you need a partner to bounce that off of, and that's who she's become for me. And I'll sit in the parking lot in my little really bad parking spot, and I'll talk to Anita for an hour and a half, and she'll say, "Okay, we've talked for an hour and a half. We need to get off the phone." And it's because we're literally bouncing those ideas and our potential.
Sure.
And there's times when we talk ourselves out of things because, quite
That's good too,
honestly,
though.
we don't have the potential for that yet.
Yeah.
And that's a good position to be in. But our transportation and our utility work that's being done right now, we have 3 ALDOT projects inside the city right now.
Yeah.
That's a total of 5 since this council came on. And that doesn't include our involvement with the Southside Bridge. That northbound bridge is as much hard work on behalf of this city council and our ability to go to DC and stand with our sister city of Southside and say, look, we need this. We need this primarily for the safety of our kids, but we also need that commerce crossover corridor
That's right.
that gets us to I-20. And when we do that, that strength of that mega site all of a sudden becomes a regional game changer for us.
It is.
Yes.
Agreed. So you are place 1. Coach is place 2. Right? Randy Weiss is place 2.
That's right.
I call him Coach. Jeff Prince is 3. James Jenkins is 4. And Officer Clark. I always call him Officer. Got to sit up straight when I say that. Clark Harper is 5.
And I could not have done that.
That's why you looked at me like that.
Yeah, I was like,
why?
how does he know this?
That's the only question I've ever asked Joe where his eyes go.
Yeah, and I'm like,
And I'm looking at his computer. It's not up. It's
Yeah.
not, he's got it on Facebook.
Get
Right?
I
your
So
don't know how he does that.
he's an idiot savant, right?
Yeah.
We know.
Key on the idiot part is that's what makes
I
the
like
show
that,
fun.
yeah.
So I'm excited that you announced on the show today that you're running.
I love it.
Well, and I'll go ahead and tell you, for a few months, I didn't feel well. And so I've kind of been AWOL, and I would tell the mayor, I'm sorry I didn't get there for this. And it was just, I'm usually just very full of energy and ready to go. And so for a few months, I didn't feel well at all. Had some surgery, and slowly but surely climbed back up that set of steps and back up that ladder, and on my way to be ready to.
Heck yeah.
And the Lord has blessed me to get back to a point where I am almost got as long of a list as when we first started.
I'm
It
sorry,
didn't affect
Joe.
your ideas or your checklist. I'll just say that.
But yes, I appreciate the support that I have received previously in the city, and I would appreciate that again. And if serving another term is something that is in God's plan, then I'll be ready.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited. We love it. We're glad to finally have you in the studio.
We've been begging for this.
Everybody talks about
He won't
Anita
take
Bedwell.
me anywhere.
Can't take her anywhere. And that, because when we're going to leave here now, and I just felt myself add about 3 years worth of work
Right.
in just the last few minutes. So.
You're welcome.
I think it's not that he wouldn't take her anywhere. She's very choosy and picky
About
about
who
who she
she
goes
travels
with.
with.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You can see that I do not have that.
Yeah, and
Right.
Anita's
Don't
that
have a
person
choice.
that has enough sense with me that if I say, hey, you want to meet me at City Hall, we'll go down there. She'll say, no, I'll just walk.
Very wise.
That is
Very
great.
wise.
That is great.
Hey, and again, thank you to all of our sponsors for
Yes.
making this show possible.
We want to say thank you to Clinic 5, City of Rainbow City. Thank you guys
Yeah, thank
for
you.
always taking care of us. Choice Fabricators, boy,
Man.
talk about that, Jerry White.
Yeah.
Man, they're just special. I don't know any other way to. And I don't mean like ride a short bus special.
No.
Well,
I mean,
I'm telling you, they're
great people, man.
They love this community.
Yes.
Agreed.
And a conversation that I had with David just not long ago, and he always ends every conversation with, "Let me know if you need anything."
Wow.
And he means it.
And
Some
he
people don't mean that.
absolutely means that.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen him take up for our police. I've seen him help with our fire. You know, with every club in this area. You know, with our schools.
Yeah.
I mean, and David Chadwick and his family.
Yeah.
They know that giving is what allows them to have what they have, and they're good people.
We thank you guys so much for sponsoring us. Exchange Bank of Rainbow City, we appreciate you. Really, Exchange Bank of Alabama, thank you guys for everything you do for us. We are so thankful for Fully Loaded jumping on and being a sponsor of the Mayor Joe Taylor Show. And I left out somebody, Twin City Automotive, or used cars, excuse
Just
me.
used cars.
Twin City Used Cars is the official sponsor of the Mayor Joe Taylor Show. They've been here from day one.
Yeah, a long
They
time.
have
Bobby's
been
a
here
good
from
one, and
day
I
one.
appreciate him. Every time I see Bobby, let me know if you need anything.
You know, I saw him. I took my whole family out to eat dinner or lunch one day after church, right? And I took my mother-in-law, you know, and I'm sitting there with all these kids, and here he comes, bebopping in by himself with his book folders, and he sits down at Red Lobster by himself, starts to work, comes over, says hello, super nice man.
He is.
Great guy.
And I thought, Bobby's gonna get my check.
Bobby's Baptist.
He tried to send his check to my table.
Yeah, he
That's
was-
what.
Bobby's Baptist. He ain't gonna.
We also want to thank City Councilman Randy Weiss.
Yes.
Coach Weiss has jumped on to become a sponsor, and he's asking for your vote as Rainbow City Councilman. So thank you, Randy Weiss, and everybody that sponsors this show. We greatly appreciate it, and Rainbow City appreciates it very, very much. Mayor Taylor, any last words?
No, we're good. I just want to again say that, you know, we're moving forward. We've got plans, guys, and I'm telling you, as we begin to roll these things out, and you know, we're winning. And I tell people there's a time coming, and you know, and actually Nick Saban said it. I think I said it before he did, but
Sure, I'm giving you credit, not him.
Please do. And you know, he said, you know, you can get tired of winning. You know, because what you do then is you believe that this is just the way it's always been. This is not the way it's always been. That's no throw off on anybody else in the world, and that's the only
Sure.
disclaimer I'll give. We're doing our work, and we're doing it with a unified, absolutely laser focused council, and we do that using the 110 members of our associate group. And that's our employees. We cannot do our work without them, and they are absolutely special people.
Awesome.
You see the late to the party, right?
Oh, excuse me.
County Commissioner
Jamie Grant.
This is old Joe Eclipse over there. Is what he's
Joe Eclipse,
We
yeah.
love Jamie Grant.
All right,
Well,
guys,
and
thank you.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
your time and the show that you put on, and the things that your subjects, the things that you provide, the information you give to our area, and the laughter and the
Stupidity,
lightheartedness
yeah.
and the stupidity. No, I'm just
Thank
kidding.
you.
And
That's the number one.
And you can do all that and still love Jesus.
Yeah,
Amen.
Amen, that's a fact.
Hey, the altar's right there.
Yeah.
It is.
Right there.
Just run out there and
Yeah.
ask forgiveness when you're out there.
Yes.
No, but thank y'all, and it's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure to
Thank
be
you.
here. And again, we'll just put one more little plug in for Rainbow City, because that's who we are and where we are, and
right.
it's we've all got to work together to get it to where it needs to be.
Come grow with us.
It's on
Love
its
it.
way.
Thank you. Councilwoman Anita Bedwell, Mayor Joe